The richest man in Babylon, the third cure, make the gold multiply. Behold, the lean pulse is fattening. Thou hast disciplined thyself to live therein 1/10 of all thou earns. Thou hast controlled the expenditure to protect the growing treasure. Next, we'll consider means to put the treasure to labor and to increase. Gold in a pulse is gratifying to own and satisfies a miserly soul, but earned nothing. The gold we may retain from our earning is but a start. The earning it will make shall build our fortunes. So spoke Arcade upon the third day to his class. How therefore may we put our gold to work? My first investment was unfortunate, for I lost all. As a tale I'll relate later. My first profitable investment was a loan I made to a man named Aga, a sealed maker. Once each year did he buy large shipment of bronze brought from across the sea to use in his trade. Lacking sufficient capital to pay the merchant, he would borrow from those who had extra coins. He was an honorable man. His borrowing he would repay, together with a liberal rental, as he sold his shield. Each time I loaned to him, I loaned back also the rental he had paid to me. Therefore, not only did my capital increase, but its earnings likewise increased. Most gratifying was it to have these sums returned to my purse. I tell my student, a man's wealth is not in the coin he carries in his purse. It's the income he builds, the gold stream that continually flows into his purse and keeps it always bulge. That's what every man desires. That's what though each one of thee desires. An income that continues to come whether the work or travel. Great income I have acquired, so great that I am called a very rich man. My loans to Aga or my first train is a profitable investment. Gaining wisdom from this experience, I extended my loan and investment as my capital increased. From a few sources at first, from many sources later, flowed into my purse a golden stream of wealth available for such wise use as I should decide. Behold, from my humble earnings I had begotten a horde of golden slaves, which laboring and earning more gold. As they labored for me, so their children also labored, and their children's children's, until great was the income from their combined efforts. Gold increased rapidly when making reasonable earning, as thou wilt see from the following. A farmer, when his first son was born, took 10 pieces of silver to a money lender and asked him to keep it on rental for his son until he became 20 years of age. This is the money lender did, and agreed the rental should be 1/4 of its value, which 4 years. The farmer asked became the sum he had set aside as belonged to his son, that the rental had added to the principal. When the boy had reached the age of 20 years, the farmer again went to the money lender to inquire about silver. The money lender explained that because the sum had been increased by compound interest, the original 10 pieces of silver has now grown to 30 and 1/2 pieces. The farmer was well pleased, and because the son did not need the coins, he left them with the money lender, and the son became 50 years of age, the father, meantime, having passed to the other world. The money lender paid the son in settlement 167 pieces of silver. Thus, in 50 years, had the investment multiplied itself and lent almost 17 times. This, then, is the third cure for a lean purse. To put each coin to laboring, they may reproduce each kind even as the flock of the field and help bring to the income a stream of wealth that shall flow constantly into the purse. The fourth cure, guard the treasure from loss. Misfortune loves shining mark. Gold is a man's purse must be guarded with firmness, else it be lost. Thus, it's wise that we must first secure small amount and learn to protect them before the gods entrust us with a larger. So spoke Akkad upon the first day to his class. Every one of gold is tempted by opportunities, whereby it would seem that he could make a larger sum by its investment in most plausible project. Often friends and relatives are eagerly entering such investment and urge him to follow. The first sound principle of investment is security. For the principles, is it wise to introduce by large earning when the principal may be lost? I say not. The penalty of risk is probable loss. Study carefully before parting with the treasure, reaching assurance that it may be safely reclaimed. Do be not misled by sign or romantic desire to make wealth rapidly. People do loan it to any man assure himself of his ability to repay and his reputation for doing so, that thou mayst not unwittingly be making him a present of the hard-earned treasure. People, though interested as an investment in any field, acquaint themselves with the danger which may beset it. My own first investment was a tragedy to me at the time. The guarded saving of a year I did entrust be a brickmaker named Ajma, who was traveling over the far seas and in Tyre agreed to buy for me the rare jewels of the Phoenicians. These we would sell upon his return and divide the profit. The Phoenicians were scoundrels and sold him bit of glass. My treasure was lost. Today, my training would show me at once the folly of entrusting a brickmaker to buy jewels. Therefore, do I advise thee from the wisdom of my experience? Be not too confident of thine own wisdom in trusting the treasure to the possible pitfall of investment. Better by far to consult with wisdom of those experienced in handling money for profit. Such advice is freely given for the asking and may readily possess a value weaker in gold to the sum thou considerest investing. In truth, such is its actual value, if it save thee from loss. This then is the first cure for a lean pulse, and of great importance if it prevents the pulse from being emptied once it has become well filled. Guard the treasure from loss by investing only where the principal is safe, where it may be reclaimed if desirable, and where thou wilt not fail to collect a fair rental. Consult with wise men. Secure the advice of those experienced in the profitable handling of gold. Let their wisdom protect the treasure from unsafe investment.